Manchester United are closely looking at Frankfurt striker Hugo Ekitike. United are confident they will be able to invest in top transfer targets this summer. Mainoo will not be leaving. United are set to clarify Ayden Heaven's injury situation this week. Andre Onana is confident at remaining at Manchester United, and more youth players are expected to be in the first team this season. This plus more in today's videos, we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So, let's go through all the transfer stuff. So, the Muppeteers were saying yesterday that United's priorities in the summer will be a striker, a 10, a midfielder, a centre-back, and a goalkeeper. Now, we've heard that before. I think it was Romano that said that they would be the kind of positions, but Romano didn't mention anything about a goalkeeper. The Muppeteers was mentioning something about the goalkeeper as well. We've got updates on pretty much all of those positions, barring midfield. We're going to run through in today's video, but just kind of reconfirming that does seem to be, some credible sources now kind of confirming striker, number 10, midfielder, centre-back, potentially a goalkeeper as well, which is maybe why we're getting linked to so many goalkeepers over the last few days, and strikers. Strikers been there's, Ornstein, Laurie Whitwell, Romano, Muppeteers, do you know what I mean? People like that, all the kind of big hitters are all saying around United's search for a striker. Interestingly, though, what the Muppeteers did say about potentially there being more youth integrated into the first team between now and the end of the season. So he said Manchester United are looking at more youth players getting into the first team environment before the end of the season, and will probably be in the Premier League due to the importance of the Europa League competition. So what the Muppeteers were saying is that it gives United a bit of an opportunity between now and the end of the season to maybe bring in some more young players to see what they're about, give them some game time, give them some minutes. So almost treating the Premier League like a pre-season. Obviously, we do still want to win games and try and claw our way up the league, but we're in a bit of a hide into nothing, really, aren't we? Because we're not going to get relegated. We're not going to make it into any kind of European spots in the Premier League, I don't think. So it's a case of, why not? Why not give the kids a chance like we did with Harry Amas? Obviously, Chido's getting a chance now. Ayden Heaven's come in. Obviously, he's got himself injured. There's an update on him in a bit that we're going to kind of run through. But, why not? Why not give them a bit of a go, see what they're all about as well? Because, effectively you can maybe fast track some of their developments as well, which is exciting. Ruben Amorim holds Jack Fletcher and Jack Morehouse in high regards. Both have impressed in youth games. This does not guarantee they will get first team minutes, but keep an eye out. Now that came from Man United Academy, who are very good when it comes to United Academy news, saying that Amorim likes both Jack Fletcher and Jack Morehouse. Both excellent players, both having really good seasons as well. Again, saying a similar thing where potentially, keep an eye out for these going forward. The Muppeteers did mention Jack Fletcher actually as well in his video, but he was also saying that Bendito Mantato is extremely highly rated by Manchester United and very much could be in the frame to be pushed forward into the first team before the season ends. Now, that would be massively exciting as well. Very, very good. Unbelievable, actually. Kind of young player playing that right wing back position. Fits the kind of mold of what we'd be looking for as well. Like for bringing somebody like Kenda, a Kenda alternative. I'm not saying he's as good as Kenda, by the way, but he's got really, really good potential as well. So that would be an interesting one to kind of keep an eye on. And I like the idea of doing that. Like I said, we're on a bit of a hide into nothing in the Premier League. So at least it will keep it, a little bit more kind of entertaining us, or not entertaining, but it'll give us a little bit more to kind of watch and get behind. You know what I mean? If we start seeing a few more, like Siku Kone's yet to make his kind of debut in the first team as well. So I'm all for that, actually. I kind of like the idea of giving the youth a little bit more time in certain Premier League games. Obviously, you're not going to throw them in like the run of games we've got coming up, which is Forest away, City home, and then Newcastle away. I doubt they might not get minutes in those, but when we've got a few home games and stuff, I mean, I don't see the issue in kind of giving them an opportunity, because I think sometimes you give young players an opportunity, they can kind of surprise you. So I like that. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, obviously, the other going back to the priorities that we mentioned before, one of the priorities is a striker. So Manchester United are closely looking at Eintracht Frankfurt striker Hugo Ekitike. That came from Chris Whelan, and they've so actually quite good sources when it comes to United. Bullshitters sometimes, shit stirrers sometimes, I should say. But he's got things right before Ornstein and Romano recently. Chris Wheeler, so he's one to kind of pay attention to, and that kind of correlates with what the video was yesterday when Florian Plettenberg was saying again about Hugo Ekitike being one of the four strikers along with Sesko, Gyökeres and Osimhen that we were looking for. He did say that Hugo Ekitike and Liam Delap are admired within Manchester United. They are among a group of attackers being monitored. And reading between the lines, we're obviously interested in a striker. I think we're kind of looking at, I think we've got two. Like, if we get Champions League, that gives us more money, which means we might then go for a more expensive striker like a Gyökeres or an Osimhen, although with Osimhen, the wages are the kind of, would need to be negotiated around that. But according to Romano, he doesn't want to take a pay cut, so that would maybe rule him out. But we might have a little bit more money to go and get somebody. But if we don't, then maybe someone like Liam Delap or Mateta become more real. So that's what I think's happening with the striker situation, is we're kind of looking, because we don't want to miss out. If we do get Champions League, we don't want to miss out on one of your kind of top targets. So I think maybe we are looking at these players and assessing the transfer fee and the wages and stuff, and then depending on where we finish, if we win the Europa League and get Champions League, then maybe we've got a little bit more money. If we haven't, then it's going to be someone like Delap and Mateta. I think that's what's kind of happening with the striker situation. Or if we sell some players and then that increases your kind of budget. That's why I think that we're getting multiple reports with what seems like different kind of tiered in terms of cost strikers, because Ekitike is going to be expensive. So would Gyökeres and Osimhen, but then Liam Delap is about 40 million. You're looking Mateta. We've been linked with him. It's saying Crystal Palace would want 40. I think you could get him for less than 40 if he doesn't sign a new contract, because he's only got a year left on his contract. But yeah, that's what I personally think is going to be happening at the moment with all the kind of striker noise that we're hearing. But in terms of Ekitike, not bad. Doesn't look bad, does he? He's 22 years old, French. Kind of I don't want to say a late developer, but this is his one kind of outstanding season in terms of scoring goals as well. He is a player that we were linked with a few years ago, if I remember rightly. Unbelievable stats. I mean, top 99 percentile for non-penalty goals, top 94 for shot creating actions. Go through that. 94 for attack touches in the attacking penalty area. Top 96 for successful take-ons. Top 97 for interceptions, importantly as well. So showing that he can kind of press and do the work up front as well. Looks a very, very talented young player. Again, is it one where the worry would be, is he a one season wonder, or is it somebody that we've been scouting for a while and now are ready to kind of take the chance? And then we'll have to wait and see. But would be a really interesting option to kind of bring in. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. It'd be interesting to hear what you've got to say regarding that. Obviously, we go back to the priorities. One of the other priorities is centre-back. So Manchester United are monitoring and considering a move for Kone De Winter, who is valued at 30 to 35 million euros, has attracted the attention of Manchester United. Now, I remember covering that story a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure it came from someone like 2O Juve or someone like that as well, which is not the most credible source. Ekram Connor is one that would link us with a lot of players. I'm yet to kind of be able to accurately judge whether he's credible or not. He's got a very large following online, though. Obviously works for Court Offside, who are a big kind of news outlet, but can be a little bit gossipy. So one to wait and see and keep an eye on. 22-year-old, 6'2", Belgian. He is regarded as a really good prospect. And again, we've made inquiries about him. I think it was in the story, if memory serves me right. So could potentially be one to maybe keep an eye on. For now, I would say take it with a pinch of salt, but we'll pay attention to it. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And one of the other priorities the Muppeteers were saying was the goalkeeper. So Andre Onana is confident of remaining at Manchester United. He is not concerned by the speculation he may be replaced. He feels he has the backing of Amrim, with whom he has a good relationship, and remains focused on helping United turn things around. And that came from Peter Hall. I think we're looking for a goalkeeper anyway, because either Bayindir and Tom Heaton are going to be going. So that's why I think we're linked with a lot of goalkeepers. some of the ones we're linked with, though, would be like number one. So again, I think a lot would depend on the budget, though. We've got a lot of transfer business to try and do in the window. And if Andre Onana himself doesn't want to go, then that's maybe going to kind of dictate whether we go for like a backup or maybe a younger, like a Trafford, if he's happy to be back up to Onana, but could potentially push Onana out the team as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the goalkeeper situation, because again, there's a lot of moving parts that would need to go in place in order to. It's not as easy. Like if Onana was wanting to go and we were looking to we're definitely looking to sell him, then that would be a different scenario. But by that, according to that report, if he's wanting to stay, does that mean that the goalkeeper, we look at maybe a reserve goalkeeper or somebody younger and up and coming to play behind Onana next season, and then worry about the goalkeeper next season? I think a lot would depend on budget and who we can kind of get done, who we can get moved on as well, which is all up in the air at the moment. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Now, Manchester United are confident that they will be able to invest in top transfers this summer, especially as the budget will be freed up through the possible and planned departures of Victor Lindelof, Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, and Kobe Mainoo. The sales of Marcus Rashford and Antony will provide the club with even greater financial flexibility. Now, that came from Florian Plettenberg. There's an update on Kobe Mainoo in a second, but obviously the reports recently have been about his contract and maybe interest in Chelsea and stuff, so that can't be ruled out, although Sir Jim did say in his interview that they're not planning to sell young players just to make money. They would do it if it was the right thing for the football club and the team, but it's mad how like much money just on the wages and stuff. So if you look at it, right, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that all of those players are going to leave, right? And this is just their wages. Transfer fees is going to, obviously we're not going to get some for Lindelof and Eriksen, but we don't know how much a team are going to pay for players in advance. But just on their wages, Antony, 105, Rashford 300, Lindelof 120, Eriksen 150, Casemiro 350, and Mainoo £20,000 a week, works out roughly to £1.4 million per week in wages for those players, which in total is £54 million per year. Now that's based on their salary for the 23-24 season from Capology. If you want to go and check it out yourself, it's a good site when it comes to like salaries and stuff. And the reason I did that is because obviously Antony and Rashford are on loan. Some of their salaries are being paid for by Villa and Real Betis respectively as well. But just to give you an idea, obviously if they don't get bought permanently, they're both going to be back in the summer. So I wanted to give like a bit of an overview. £54 million per year on those players, which is absolutely insane. More realistic though, because I think Mainoo, I hope anyway, Mainoo's not going to go anywhere, but you never say never in football. But I think what's maybe more realistic will be Antony, Rashford, Malacia, Sancho, because they're all out on loans. At the moment, Eriksen and Lindelof are out of contract. They're definitely going. Luke Shaw, I think we should maybe look to move on in the summer, considering the fact that he's made 3 substitute appearances this year, and it's now gone 13 months without a start for Man United. And Casemiro, I do think, is a player that they want to kind of move on as well. So that totals £1.4 million per week in wages and a total of £75 million per year. And that's without transfer fees, remember, as well. Obviously, Rashford's homegrown. Sancho, we're going to get £25 million for. Antony, you might be able to sell for a little bit more now that he's doing really well in Real Betis. Casemiro, potentially you could get a few £1 million for as well, though I think we need to get more than 15 million to not avoid a PSR loss. So that's just on wages. That's insane, isn't it? And what's kind of mad as well, right, is when you look at it, I think Casemiro's played quite well recently, to his credit. Lindelof's done okay. He's been a body while we've had some injuries, I suppose, at the back. But the rest of them are not even here, really. Or Eriksen, like, would you miss any of those players? Do you think United are massively going to miss any of those players? And we can save £75 million in wages on those. That's insane, isn't it? And that shows the sort of, the flexibility that if you have a summer like that, I mean, the odds are Antony, hopefully we can remove. Malacia has actually got a buy clause in the contract with his loan. Rashford's got an option to buy as well. Sancho, obligation to buy. Eriksen, Lindelof. The question marks would be Shaw and Casemiro. But the rest are pretty much effectively going to be leaving. That's insane, isn't it? The amount of money that we pay on wages. And that was maybe what Florian Plettenberg's talking about. And then if you factor into the transfer fees as well, so if you did sell a Mainoo or a Garnacho, that's homegrown profit. Rashford's homegrown profit as well. So you can see that they could actually kind of, get a bit of money coming in the transfer window that we could then hopefully reinvest into the squad. But yeah, mad money. On Kobe Mainoo will not be leaving Manchester United this summer, despite some reports saying otherwise. That came from Dylan McBennett, who's a decent source when it comes to United. So there were some reports from some aggregator accounts yesterday saying that there's more progress been made on Kobe Mainoo's contract situation as well. So all roads at the moment are looking like he's going to sign a new contract, but I'll bring you any updates when they come out as well. On Marcus Rashford, who we just mentioned there, Manchester United have raised the asking price for Marcus Rashford following his recall to the England squad. So that's another way we could increase the budget and have a bit more kind of money, whether that's in the clause or in the contract, or whether they would, because obviously he's got an option to buy for £40 million for Villa, but whether there's some kind of clause in there that says, well, if he plays for England, that increases, or whether that would just be for external clubs. So if a Barcelona or someone like that came in for Rashford, we could now turn around and say, no, he's now back in the English squad, so that's going to increase his kind of transfer fee. That would be good, because that's just more money for us. That's homegrown profit, a massive boost to the kind of budget as well, if that's to be believed as well. But I don't know if it's in the contract with Aston Villa that it would increase if he makes it back into the England squad. And then the other player we just mentioned, then Eriksen, on his future, he said, I haven't thought about it yet. It's like last time. My contract expires in the summer, so in my head, I'm ready to find something new, but I haven't decided what it will be yet. So Eriksen effectively confirming himself that he's going. He hasn't started looking at a new club yet, but it's, he's effectively said, yeah, he's out of contract, so he needs to find himself a new club in the summer. But really interesting kind of updates there as well, especially around the budget. When you look at the wages, that's insane. The amount of money that United could save on wages, that's without the kind of transfer fees and stuff as well. A few decent kind of links saying that potentially more youth players coming in between now and the end of the season. That would be exciting to see. That gives us something to kind of get behind and kind of analyse a little bit towards the end of the season, and what's going to be, obviously we still want to win games and stuff. I'm sure Amorim is not going to throw in the towel in any Premier League game, but it'll be interesting to see some of these young players come through and almost effectively give them a little bit of a pre-season before pre-season, so then you can decide earlier which ones you want to keep. That might help with the transfer window as well. See links with Ekitike as well, looks a good potential option to be coming in. A lot would depend on the budget, though, with the striker, because it depends on whether we get Champions League or don't get Champions League as well. So really interesting kind of updates there. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Ayden Heaven. So Steve Railston, who's very good for the Manchester Evening News regarding United's youth, said that United are set to clarify Ayden Heaven's injury situation this week, but the fact he didn't visit the hospital and left in a protective boot must be seen as a positive ahead of the announcement. I agree as well, actually. It looked like he was... it looked really bad, especially when he's got stretched off as well. But to hear that he's walking unaided with just a protective boot on is a bit of a positive, although he could be a ligament tear, which could still mean he's out for a while. That's what Amad Diallo's got, I think, in his ankle. So, and on Ayden Heaven, Ugarte had the following to say: he's a very strong guy. This surprised me about him. The personality he has. He's played very well in the last few games. Let's hope it isn't too bad and that he recovers well, and he is ready for what's to come. So it came with an interview from Andy Mitten saying that he's a strong lad, which is good. That might help him with his recovery. Ayden Heaven himself on his Instagram posted the following, saying, "Thank you guys for all the support. I've read all your messages and I'm doing really well and recovering fast." So that's positive. So positive signs regarding Ayden Heaven. Obviously, we'll need to see the extent of the injury, though. It could still be a few weeks if it's like a ligament tear or something like that, for example. But I don't think it's bad as far. I thought that was like a Martinez type 12-month job by watching it, and obviously seeing the discomfort that he was in and stuff like that as well. It looked really bad, but hopefully it's not as bad as wood. Touch wood, it's not as bad as that anyway. I don't want to curse it. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.